I'm reading from the live blog of the Times of Israel, and it says that thousands of Palestinians flood onto the streets of Gaza City after an open-ended truce agreed between Israel and the Palestinians goes into effect, and this has been confirmed both by the Israelis and the Palestinians, or should I say Hamas. Among the celebrants are gunmen, some from Hamas, who fire in the air in celebration just moments after the truce begins, AFP correspondents say. Mosques used their loudspeakers to broadcast celebratory chants of God is greatest as the war-torn enclave hails the apparent end of some of the worst Israeli-Palestinian violence in a decade. And here's another quote from the live blog. It says, Army Radio quotes the most senior and official Israeli government source confirming that Israel has accepted the Egyptian proposal for an open-ended truce. The official says the terms do not include any response to Hamas's demands, including those for a seaport, airport, prisoner releases, or transfer of funds to pay salaries. He adds that those issues will be discussed in a month if the quiet proves itself. Hamas' spokesman in Gaza, Sami Abu Zari, is hailing victory for several reasons. And number one, for example, because it imposed what he calls an air blockade on Israel, a reference to the suspension by many foreign airlines to flights to Ben Gurion Airport for 2 days last month. It also forced Israelis close to Gaza to flee their homes, he says. They can return now, he says, because Hamas has decided they can, not because Netanyahu has decided they can. You know, for Hamas to claim victory in this fight is like a punch-drunk opponent winning a fight because the other fighter can't answer the bell due to the fact that he's broken both his hands from pummeling his opponent. And that's essentially what happens every time Israel gets in a fight with one of their opponents. They reduce that opponent to rubble, destroy their infrastructure, and kill thousands of their soldiers. And unfortunately, those soldiers continue to cower behind civilians, so they do end up getting killed as well. But it's been proven time and time again that Israel is very aware that when a civilian on the Hamas side is involved, they do back off. Of course, that's not so with Hamas. Every time they get a chance, they kill babies and anyone indiscriminately by firing rockets into the air. But the real question is where does this play in Bible prophecy, or where could it play in Bible prophecy, and how long will it last? Well, first of all, we very well could be looking at the fact that this could be the covenant that continues to be broken but will be made strong by the Antichrist. At this moment, they are basically on a 1-month ceasefire to try to iron out some ironclad details for a more permanent or longer ceasefire. Frankly, I don't expect it to last long. In fact, if it is the eventual covenant that the Antichrist will bring, it won't last long. Now here's another live blog that's just come in. It says, truce stipulates immediate border opening. It said, Egypt says the Gaza truce that, or ceasefire, that went into force at 7 p.m. today provides for an immediate opening of Israeli border crossings to aid and reconstruction supplies. Alongside a comprehensive ceasefire, the two sides are said to agree to the simultaneous opening of the border crossings between Israel and Gaza to enable the rapid entry of humanitarian aid and relief and construction supplies into the Strip, an Egyptian foreign minister's statement says. The Egyptian brokered deal also provides for the immediate extension to 6 nautical miles off the Gaza coast of the limit imposed by Israel on the territory's fishermen. It foresees continuation of indirect negotiations between the two sides on other matters within 1 month of the ceasefire taking place. Now, what do I see for this? I think you're going to see continuous disruptions in this ceasefire. And certainly many in Israel are not happy with this particular ceasefire at all. In fact, in an earlier blog, it says half the ministers in the security cabinet are still opposed to the Egyptian framework for a ceasefire, even as an open-ended truce in the Gaza Strip takes effect, Channel 2 reports. Now, this is an open-ended truce, and it will remain open-ended up until a month from now, it looks to me anyway. where Israel and Hamas will continue in indirect talks to try to nail down a framework. Now, as I said, if this at all is what the Bible is describing as a covenant that will have to be confirmed and made strong, it will eventually come out as a 7-year covenant or ceasefire. Now, of course, that's speculation on my part, and we really don't know where this will end. But I certainly would not rule out the fact that you should start looking at it in this direction. Something else you should also consider is this right here. A couple of days ago, and this article is on my website. You should sit down and read it, but I will give you some of the details. In a Ynet News article, this is what it had to say. Ambassador Lars Faaborg Anderson, head of the delegation of the European Union to Israel, vows the EU will be able to prevent Hamas from smuggling arms into Gaza and urges Israel to move toward a long-term peace agreement. As reported in my last report, I indicated that there's a UN-EU proposal on the table that would call for the European Union to man the border crossings and take control of that area. But, as I said before, in order for them to do that, they would really have to come down with a very forceful army in order to do that. But as you can see in this quote, that they believe, then they vow that they will be able to prevent Hamas from smuggling arms into Gaza. And they're also calling for them to commit to a long-term peace agreement. Now, at this time, there are a number of behind-the-scenes diplomatic maneuvers going on that prevents them from coming to the forefront. But as I've said before, I believe at some point in time, they will be given the right to come forward and take care of this situation. Right now, the U.S. is kind of standing in their way. But if this is indeed the covenant that is to be confirmed, the EU is definitely placing themselves in a position to take over this situation, as I've stated many times and for many years for that matter. As many of you know, I've always said that peace would be the next thing on the Lord's agenda. And of course, I never ruled out the fact that Hamas or Hezbollah or some terrorist group might get into a scuffle with Israel between now and then. But I never believed, and I still don't believe, that a Psalm 83 war scenario will take place before peace is established. And there's also something else that you probably need to also take into consideration. The European Union is in the throes right now of building a unified army that has been led by Germany at this time. And for many years that has been the case, but it's been slow coming. But this threat by ISIS and also on a greater scale by Russia has led the European Union to kick it up a notch in unifying their forces. And from the reports that I've been seeing, that's for good reason. Right now, it's being reported quite regularly that Russian troops and Russian military equipment, such as warplanes and tanks and armored personnel carriers, are being seen and used more frequently in the war with Ukraine. So right now, Ukrainian forces and sources are reporting that Russia is fully involved in the war against Ukraine, but not yet to the point of a full-out invasion. But I do foresee that being the case in time. So frankly, I see it a matter of time before the Ukraine does fall to the Russian army. And I don't foresee the U.S. nor the European Union coming in to prevent this invasion in any way. I think both the European Union and the United States has realized that Ukraine is really simply not in their best interest to get involved in. And as I've said, I believe this is just a stepping stone to what will take place. The Bible says in Ezekiel 38 and 39, where Russia would come down with their allies upon Israel to take a spoil. And I don't believe that Israel will be in the United States or Britain's or the European Union's best interest either. And they will sit back and allow this invasion to take place. I think right now the United States' main concern is ISIS. And if you haven't heard, the United States is now looking to Syria and Iran and partnering with them in order to defeat this terrorist element. And I've read in various military assessments that in order for the United States to fully defeat ISIS, they will need the help of both Syria and Iran. And of course, without Iran's help, this ceasefire between Gaza and Israel would not have taken place, because it's pretty clear that Iran pulls the strings in the Hamas organization. So where is this ceasefire going from here? Well, if in fact this is direct Bible prophecy being fulfilled, I believe it will probably be a series of ceasefires and then war, then ceasefires, then war. Now, as far as time frame is concerned, I think it'd be irresponsible to even tell you what the time frame would be that these ceasefires would probably span, but I would say this right here, that at some point in time, I believe the European Union is going to get involved, and will do so out of desperation with Israeli support and reluctant support by the United States. And at some point in time, between that time and the actual creation of a 7-year confirmed and strengthened accord, the rapture of the church will take place. Now, certainly that will be a supernatural event, so we simply don't know how the world will react, but we know it will be in shock. And as I've said many times, I believe when the rapture of the church takes place, I believe the world will see it as the rapture of the church for the most part. But there will be nothing they simply can do but go on and continue to live in this world. But at some point in time thereafter, probably after again many ceasefires and breakages of the ceasefire, the European Union will incorporate the moderate Arab world, and it may even include Iran and also Syria. And in order to clean up this mess, not only between Israel and Hamas, but also to finally exterminate this terrorist cancer called ISIS. But the Bible is clear, there must be some type of an agreement or accord that must be confirmed between Israel and many and the Antichrist. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, but this is something that you need to keep your eyes on. As I've said many times before, if you're looking in Russia or Ukraine or at ISA, you're looking in the wrong spot as far as the end times are concerned. Yes, these are troubling times, and they are wars and rumors of wars. But if you're looking for direct Bible prophecy, you're looking in the right spot. If you're looking at Israel, Hamas, the Palestinians, and the European Union, and what is going on right now with this ceasefire, I believe that it'll eventually play out as a direct Bible prophecy confirmed covenant. So I would encourage you to keep looking at these results, and I will keep reporting as to where they're headed. And I think we're going to see that this is headed toward the last of the last days. And if you don't know the Lord, I would today encourage you to make that decision. You know, 150,000 people die every single day. The vast majority of the Bible says will end up in a burning hell. I would also encourage you, if you already know the Lord, and you have lost loved ones that you have been witnessing for years, I would get them a copy of my Tribulation Period Survival Guide. There's a free version that you can take down to the print shop and have it printed out if that's what you wish to do. Or you can actually get the cheaper version by just buying the book online. I think the price is somewhere around $8. It would be a shame for you to have this information that is readily available in your grasp and you not leave it behind for your lost loved ones. Frankly, I'm not trying to sell you a book, but I am trying to get you to get in your hands a lifeline of salvation to your lost loved ones. I hope you will decide to take that up and get this book in their hands. Well, this is Terry Malone with the Calvary Prophecy Report.